The Vietnam War was a long conflict in Southeast Asia. It began in 1954 after the country of Vietnam was divided into two parts, North Vietnam and South Vietnam. North Vietnam wanted to reunify the country under communism. South Vietnam fought to prevent this from happening. The Vietnam War started in 1955 and ended in 1975. It had its origins in the colonization of Vietnam by France in the late 19th century. Indeed, in the early 90s, the country was part of a French colony. Japan seized the colony in 1940 and held it until 1945. Then, a Vietnamese group called the Viet Minh declared Vietnam independence, but the French still wanted to rule Vietnam as a colony. The two sides fought an 8-year war called the French Indochina War. The Viet Minh defeated the French in 1954. France and the Viet Minh then met to decide the future of the Viet Minh. The meeting divided Vietnam into two parts, the North and the South. The Viet Minh took the control of North Vietnam. A communist named Ho Chi Minh was its president. The Vietnamese who had supported the French took control of South Vietnam. Ngo Diem, who was opposed to communism, ruled the South. The French quickly left the country. The United States showed a little interest in Vietnam and Southeast Asia, but communist movements were becoming more and more important. This issue eventually gave rise to the doctrine of containment and the domino theory, According to the doctrine of containment, the goal of communism was to spread into capitalist states, and the only way to stop it was to contain it within its current borders. In 1957, communist rebels in South Vietnam began fighting Diem's government. They were called the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong hid during the day and attacked at night. The North Vietnamese army trained and supported the Viet Cong. Later, the northern communist fighters themselves joined the fighting. Since the late 1950s, the United States has supported the South Vietnamese government by building military bases, sending military advisors, and providing war materials. These interventions were done according to the domino theory. A country must not fall under communist influence, otherwise it will drag its neighbor down one after the other. Then the war starts. Until 1965, the conflict remains above all civil war. South Vietnamese troops aided by the Americans against the Viet Cong. From 1965, the conflict intensified with the massive commitment of the United States against North Vietnam. Indeed, President Johnson amplified the fight against communism and launched in February 1965 bombing operation on North Vietnam. American planes dropped more than 600,000 tons of bomb in 3 years. The number of American troops on Vietnamese soil is increasing, especially because of the American soldiers fighting in Vietnam. This must be added to the South Vietnamese troops and their use of non-professional soldiers doing their military service. In 1969, there were a total of about 1.5 million soldiers engaged on the South Vietnamese side, against 600 North Vietnamese, 200 Viet Cong, and 200,000 Chinese. The Americans were involved in a war that was becoming increasingly unpopular because of the high civilian casualties. In August 1974, the United States reduced its military aid to the South. The South Vietnamese army quickly collapsed. In 1975, the North Vietnamese launched a massive invasion of South Vietnam. North Vietnamese troops entered Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, on April 30, 1975. The war was over and the communists had won. In 1976, the united North and South Vietnam into one country called Vietnam. They made Hanoi the capital. They renamed Saigon to Ho Chi Minh City in honor of Ho, who had died in 1969. It was a victory of communism.